In this lesson, we'll begin sculpting the guard. So let's go ahead and sculpt kind of the cross guard here, part of the hilt. And so go ahead and select that piece. And the first thing that we can do is start to subdivide this, and I just want to make sure under geometry we have this selected, so it's going to smooth that out. Now as we go to the first level here, we can go to our move brush and just start to define this shape a little bit more. And so I want it to kind of come to a little bit more of a point at the front. And so we can start to, and let me actually undo that, and I just want to make sure that symmetry is turned on for this. So I'll activate symmetry here. Okay, and so I just want to form this a little bit more, and we can kind of bring it out as it comes out towards the middle of the blade, but I want it to kind of come to maybe a little bit more of a point down out here on the ends. Okay, and so we can just kind of use our move to do a little bit of shaping on this. We can kind of bring out that bottom part. Okay, and sort of underneath here we can start to bring this out so it has a little bit more shape to it. Just kind of bringing this down. Okay, giving it a little bit of thickness here. Let's go ahead and turn off actually the visibility on our grip so that we can get a little bit better idea of where this is. Okay, we'll go ahead and subdivide this again, and then we can just smooth this out and just start to define this. Now looking at this, you can see that we have sort of an edge right up here. I want to take this top sort of squared off edge and start to move it down a little bit. Okay, especially right in here where this dips down. I want this edge to kind of come down a little bit more, so we'll go ahead and start to bring that down. Okay, and if it gets a little bit too high res here, you can always go back to your lower level. Okay, and see how this edge doesn't really match up with this one down here, so I'm going to go ahead and smooth this out, and then that's going to be that edge. So we'll keep a kind of a consistent edge going here. Okay, let's go ahead and subdivide this a few more times. So right now we're up to about 25,000. Let's maybe do one more time. Let's go ahead and get our polish, and let's try maybe a medium polish. So let me go ahead and find our polish here. And then I'm going to use this to just shape this a little bit more. So you can see it's just kind of helping to emphasize that edge right there. And so I just want to come in and make that kind of one consistent edge flowing around the side here. Okay, so we kind of end up with something like that. Now I want to still kind of pull this out a little bit more. So if you want to use inflate, we can kind of pull this out and smooth it back in. Okay, and you just want to come in, and I just want to give it a little bit more thickness here. Okay, and just going back in, smoothing that out. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, then we can go ahead and I want to get, let's go to polish again. Let's get our medium polish. Let's take our intensity down a bit. Okay, and I just want to kind of help refine that bottom part here and kind of smooth that out a little bit more. And then we can go ahead and smooth it, but just kind of taking out some of the lumps and continuing to kind of harden up that edge that we've got there. Okay, same thing kind of down here. We'll go ahead and smooth that back in. If you want to harden the edge up a little bit more, we can go ahead and use our hard polish. And just kind of tighten that edge up a bit. Okay, let's go ahead and turn off the visibility on our blade so we're kind of left with this piece here. Okay, and I want to create kind of a carved pattern here, but I want to have some definition between the top and bottom. So I'm going to use the DM standard, which will give us a nice crease here. Okay, let's turn on our under stroke, turn on our lazy mouse and just make sure that that's turned on. Take our lazy mouse radius up, take our draw size down. Okay, test that out. I'm going to increase the radius a bit. Okay, and that's probably a little bit too much. And so I just want to create a division here. And I'm going to kind of turn it up so I can kind of see the whole thing here. And so I want to just create a sort of seam coming along the length. And this is on the underside of this piece. So just kind of slowly following along with that line and ending it up right there. And then you can come in here and just complete that over. Okay, so we end up with something like that. Now what I want to do next, I don't want to affect the bottom portion of the model here. And so I want to actually just mask this out. So go ahead and just mask this just by painting through here. Just so that whatever we do on the top part is not going to be reflected in any of the detail on the bottom. So it won't affect that. Come down here and do the same thing. And gonna mask that out. It's okay if not all of it is, if the mask isn't completely perfect. And so up here, you can do whatever you want. I'm gonna add some, I think, scales to this. So I'm gonna go into Lightbox, into brushes, and let's kind of zoom over to the side here and start to look at some of these brushes that we have available here. So we start to get over to the right hand side. We pass the planar brushes and start to get into some of this scaling. We've got the scales, the fish scales, the lizard scales. So let's go ahead and try to work with something like this. And so I'll just double click on this and we'll get kind of a larger brush size. I've got Z add, and let's just experiment. Right now our intensity is at 50%. We've got RGB on. I'm going to turn RGB off, and you can see what this gives us. So we can play with the size that we want by playing with the size of our draw size there. And then I just want to draw this out, and so you can see if I get something, that size, we get something that is a little bit larger. Now I don't know that I want something quite that large, so let's take our draw size down to maybe about 50 and try that. And so let me go ahead and do that. And let's sort of draw this out. And just draw that out right along the edge, and just do the same thing up here on the top, just sort of blending that in. Okay, so we get kind of that carved look there, and can go ahead and do the same thing down here. If you want to get it the same size, you want to be about the same distance away. Okay, we'll kind of rotate that around. Okay, so we end up with something like that, but you don't see that on the bottom. Let's go ahead and reverse the mask. So let me go ahead and reverse that. So everything else is now masked. And we'll go back to our DM standard, and then I just want to draw some kind of the underbelly here. So I'm just going to draw some creases across. Okay, and so just drawing those across. And if you want to make this a bit higher resolution to get really a nice sharp line there, you can go ahead and subdivide that again. We're not really going to see this as much, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. But that's certainly an option for you if you want to do that. Okay, let's go into here, and I'm just going to get the pinch brush, and I'll just kind of pinch those together so it's not quite so wide. All right, same thing here. And now we can start to color this. So I want to go ahead and fill it with white and fill it with this material. So we'll go MRGB, let's go to color, and we'll fill the object. And now I'm just going to get kind of a dark red and just go to standard brush, RGB, and just start to paint this. Okay. Now you can see I'm just getting that exact red. So if you want to build a little bit of variation into this, all you need to do is go ahead and choose a color spray stroke. And then that will allow you to, you can see, automatically kind of break up that color. Okay, as you come in and paint this. Okay, if you want to use kind of a different kind of alpha, that'll break it up even more and get kind of a smaller kind of variation in there. Okay, so just kind of paint that through, and then on the top, I'm gonna get kind of a copper color, maybe something like that. Okay, and we can start to paint that in on the top. Looking at this, I want to really pull out the detail from the top, so let me just pull this color out really quickly. And then we can use a cavity mask to be able to darken up the dark areas and lighten up the light areas. So you can see where those scales are. We'll go down to masking. I want to mask by cavity, and I'll just use the default settings. And so you can kind of see what's masked out there. I'm going to actually invert that mask and get a dark color and just kind of paint through this, and just kind of real lightly, real loosely. Okay, just kind of paint through this. Let's go ahead and turn off the mask, and you can see how that just brings it out because you're darkening up those lower areas. If you go ahead and mask again, this time leave it, and then you can start to add a little bit of color variation onto the top of this. So maybe get kind of more of a yellow, take our RGB intensity down, but then come in, and this time what we have masked off is the lower portion, so we're only painting on kind of the high spots. Okay, so we can come in and add a little bit of variation to this. Maybe add a little bit of red to the mix as well. Just real lightly and real roughly. Okay, and you can turn that off. And so we can really start to get some good variation in there. You can see that has the mask off, but it just makes that stand out a bit more. Okay, so you just want to come in, and I'm going to finish up the ends here, fill in the area down here that we don't have painted, and then go in and add some darkness into the inside here and just vary this up a little bit. Okay, so feel free to paint this however you like. Just you can use the cavity map if you like to get some variation in there if you're going to go this route. In the next lesson, though, let's go ahead and start to work on the grip of our sword. So we'll do that next.